Welcome back to Couch Critics. And today, Bradley, we're going to be talking about our football story. What's our story with the A-League? Why are we fans of the A-League? Let you guys know a little bit about us and our story, because we'd love to hear your story as well. What attracted you to the A-League? So if you enjoy this video, make sure to hit that like button, make sure to subscribe, and share us on your socials as well, so that other people can get involved in the conversation. Bradley, you're a Wanderers supporter. Tell us, what made you love the A-League?
Oh boy, how long do I have to tell you the story? I don't know. I think it was when the Wanderers came out. I think I've always, as long as I could probably remember, I've always just, we had Foxtel growing up, so I just flick on the A-League, watch it. I played football since I was, 6. Played every year since I was 6. Played for the mighty Wilberforce United Soccer Club back in Nepean. And I think I started watching live television sport around 07. Grew up near Penrith, so I went for the mighty Penrith Panthers in the NRL. Still go for them today. It's been difficult for some years, much like the Wanderers. But I think I never really had a team. I think my first attempt was like, Adelaide's red. I like red, so I'll go for Adelaide. That didn't last. That was just like that was just a nothing moment. Then I think the earliest game I remember watching was the Newcastle Central Coast Grand Final. I thought, I'll go for Newcastle. That didn't happen because I don't live anywhere in Newcastle, so I'm just like, and I think I had a mate. I think it was a couple of years before the Wanderers came. He was, we should go for Sydney FC, and I was kind of like, but they're all on the other side of Sydney, and growing up following Penrith, you don't like the Sydney Roosters, you don't like CR Sydney, you don't like those weird clubs down in eastern suburbs on another part of the country. So I didn't really go for them. Didn't really get engaged with them because, you get on the train, it's like an hour and a half to get there. And, when I'm living out in Western Sydney, it's only half an hour to Penrith gas. It's much closer. And then I just remember in high school, the Wanderers announced, when Gold Coast left the comp, they said, we're going to get a Western Sydney team. So, awesome, great, this is finally the moment. I'm going to go for this team. And, here we are today. And I think it was more growing up in Sydney that, I had a local team that I could support. I know they played in Parramatta, and being a Penrith fan, I have absolutely no time for Parramatta. So I was a bit disappointed we were playing in Parramatta, but then I was like, you know what, Western Sydney are playing in Parramatta. Parramatta's on the name, so that's okay. And we played a few A-League games out in the mighty Penrith Stadium, so that was not too bad. But I think it was just, growing up in Western Sydney, you just didn't have that local team. And once, the Wanderers came in, I was like, well, this is great. This is, my community's being represented. And I think in those first couple of years, I think it's died down a lot, which is a bit disappointing, but I think there was a massive hype in those first couple of years that you were getting so many different guys that had never watched football before. These were rugby league guys, rugby union or AFL, not much of a thing in Western Sydney, but they were just these guys that had never watched a football game before, that were coming to watch it because they saw, what's going on with the Wanderers, the hype, the supporters. It's just a really cool thing. It's the in thing at the moment. And, the casual joke is, they were all Sydney FC supporters. I thought, what a load of crap. There might have been a few, but I don't think that's the case. I don't think you pull 14,000 fans out of another supporter base. But yeah, it was just so awesome those few years where we were the talk of the town. The Sydney Derby was the talk of the town. It was the big sporting event on the Sydney calendar, which is a big thing in the first couple of years of this derby. It was just incredible what the Wanderers did in those first couple of years. And I think it probably hurt a lot when we went to the Sydney, the showground, the Oval Ground, the crap stadium. We don't want to talk about it. It was a crap stadium. And I think that hurt us a lot. And we're back in Parramatta. We're back at the Western Sydney Stadium. So I think in the next few years, that'll help bring back the fans, because I think that time when we left the ground, that really hurt because, we went to a crap stadium where, you're on an oval, you're so far away from the pitch. But anyway, you asked me about why I got into the Wanderers, and I think, just a local club came in and jumped at it.
What's your favourite A-League memory?
I wasn't at the game, but I do remember watching when we were 3-0 down against Brisbane in the semi-final, coming back to win 5-4. That was incredible, and the scenes at Parramatta just... coming from 3-0 down, I think we got one. Brenton Sanderlab just scored just before halftime to get us back in the game. In that second half, it was It was just one of those incredible games, one of those incredible comebacks, and I think I look at that as probably my favourite memory as a Wanderers supporter, no doubt. And we had who scored the hat trick? It was a Dutch fella who used to play for us, Castellan. He scored the hat trick. That's probably the favourite memory for me. Dario Vidicic getting the winner in extra time. It's just a mental game.
Yeah. What about the Socceroos? What's your history with the Socceroos, and what's your favourite Socceroos memory?
I have to say, in 06, I wasn't watching the Socceroos, so I wasn't actually watching the penalty shootout live. I think I started watching the Socceroos. My first memory of really getting into the Socceroos was 2010 World Cup. I don't really know why, but I said to my parents, I'm getting up 3 a.m. I'm going to watch Australia versus Germany. I don't know why. I just wanted to support the team, and the first real memory is losing 4-0 to Germany, so that was pretty rubbish. And then the 1-1 draw with Ghana, I thought the Serbia game, stuff this. I'm sick of it. We just performed so poor in the first 2 games. Then we won 2-1. So maybe that I should have watched up for it. I think favourite memory, probably 2015 Asian Cup. That was my birthday. We won the Asian Cup against South Korea. That's probably the highlight memory for me in my time of watching. And I think everyone says the World Cup, but the penalty shootout against Uruguay, wasn't watching it at the time. So I think from what I've seen is probably the Asian Cup.
Yeah, cool.
What about you, Sog?
Yeah.
I think you grew up in a big football family. I grew up, my dad watched rugby league. My mum didn't really care about sports, so you're probably a bit different to me.
Yeah. I've been playing football since I was 4 years old, and both my parents enjoy watching football and love football. Dad's a Leeds United supporter. Mum's a United supporter. My earliest memory of football is actually the treble winning goal, kind of 1999. I remember as a 5-year-old kid, I remember watching highlights of that game or seeing Solskjaer win it for United.
Oh yeah, of course.
That was huge. And so as a young kid, I loved United, and how could you not with some of their players? Ruud van Nistelrooy, what a legend. And so I grew up kind of playing football and kind of watching little bits. I remember the 2002 World Cup happening while I was at school. I think I remember Mexico playing for some reason. It just stands out. But yeah, then as I kind of got older, I started playing FIFA with my brothers and things like that. I started playing football more. I remember when I was 11 years old, I got to play at Marconi Stadium, representing kind of a Western Region side, and we played against Marconi. And then we got to stick around and watch a game afterwards. And then it was around that kind of 2005 time. I remember watching the last NSL Grand Final.
Parramatta Power and Perth
Glory.
Glory
Winning that 3-0, wasn't it?
No, it was 1-0. It was a golden goal game.
That's right.
Yeah. And I think Milicic scored the winning goal.
Yeah,
Could be wrong.
So I remember watching that, and then things started to heat up with the Socceroos trying to qualify for the World Cup. So I remember my brother got to go to the game against Uruguay. That's crazy. I remember those games, and then that's when the A-League started, and Australia were going to a World Cup, and we had a football league in Australia that was brand new and exciting, and so being a kid from Lithgow out the Blue Mountains, the closest team to me was Sydney FC, and we had Dwight York coming. So my earliest memory was that treble winning team. Dwight York's in that, and then he's coming to Australia playing for Sydney FC. And there was just something about them that they looked exciting, they looked impressive. That was Australian football for me. And so my history really as a football fan is so closely linked to the start of the A-League. I was like 12 years old when it started. And so most of my best football memories are the A-League. I've been to so many matches, and yeah, it's been fantastic just kind of watching the league. That's why I know the old NSL was great, and there's lots of history, and people say the A-League kind of got rid of that history. But for me, the A-League has history. Like, my football history is the A-League, and I love it. That's why I wanted to make this channel with Bradley, because we love talking about the A-League throughout the week. It's always on my mind. I'd be lost without an Australian football league. I love it so much.
We don't know any different. I think we only know
it.
about the NSL through history books and through old YouTube videos. We only know about it through the history books.
Yeah, so I think Australia can be proud of our footballing history. The A-League has been fantastic for the game here. I've got some standout kind of A-League memories. going and watching some terrible football kind of early days. I remember watching Sydney FC's kind of first ever Asian Champions League campaign. We went to Parramatta Stadium and watched them play against Persik Kediri, an Indonesian team, and Corica scored a goal. Those are good memories. I remember watching Urawa Red Diamonds with my district soccer team. We went to the SFS, we were up in the stands and watching these Japanese fans who jumped in time. Like, they were awesome memories. Getting on a Saturday afternoon, finishing work and driving down the M4 to Sydney to go and watch a football game. When the derby came in, that was fantastic. I remember the first derby at Parramatta Stadium, Del Piero scoring right in front of the Travelling Cove. I was at the game where the Mariners beat Sydney FC at Gosford 7-5. And I mean, it was terrible to lose, but what a party atmosphere that was. So there are so many great memories from the A-League that just kind of, I can't wait for it to come back. Oh, I'm itching.
Would you ever, at your point in your life, describe yourself as a Euro snob?
No, I don't think so. Look, I love watching the Premier League, sure, but I have always enjoyed Australian football. So I've also had some great Socceroos memories. I remember watching the game against Uruguay, the qualifier. I remember watching our first ever World Cup and feeling heartbroken that Japan were beating us. And then Timmy Cahill comes and saves the day. Like that, I get chills every time I watch that. It's unreal. And some special moments like the qualifiers for the previous World Cup, 2018. I got back from my honeymoon with my wife, and then we went and watched Australia beat
we were
Honduras.
there. Yeah, that was a great time.
You were there with us.
3 penalties from Mila
Jednak scored a hat-trick from the spot. What a great memory just to see us actually qualify for a World Cup. That stands out. And so I remember meeting Timmy Cahill at one of the first Socceroos games I went to because my sister won a competition. Thank you, Caitlin, our editor.
You're welcome.
I remember going and Tim Cahill was still at Millwall and he came over to see his dad. Yeah. And so I've got a picture of me and Tim Cahill. I'm a little baby. Maybe we'll put it up on the screen. Yeah, football's a huge part of my life and Australian football, I just love it so much. I've never really been a Euro snob. I love the Premier League. I love watching football. My favourite team in England is actually Dover Athletic in the National League. But I've always enjoyed Australian football. Yeah. You've been a bit of a Euro snob though, haven't you?
I still probably think Liverpool is my favourite team, but I don't think. I think the people out there that think, Premier League, La Liga is better than A-League. I'm like, well, what do you think in terms of quality? Of course it is, but I think it's very important to support our local football. And I think at that time before I went to the Wanderers, I was very focused on supporting Liverpool. Those were some pretty rubbish days in the early 10s there. So right now, what's going on with Liverpool is just absolutely unbelievable to where we were 10 years ago. But I encourage the Euro snobs out there to give the A-League a go. I mean, stop comparing it to the Premier League, La Liga, Bundesliga, whatever, because it's not going to be like that. But I think, we're seeing a lot of up-and-coming talents. Matty Ryan, Aaron Moy, who are the regular starters in the Premier League today, started out here. And, we got to see them play. Yeah. And at such a long level before they're off making millions in the Premier League.
The A-League has its own flavour. So if you're kind of... if you love European football, that's great. So do we. But, get to an A-League match. Go and see it live. I think still, it's not quite... We had a peak kind of atmosphere era when the Wanderers came in. But the atmosphere at games is still fantastic. I love going to Cogra and watching Sydney FC play. I love going up to the coast and watching games there. I'd love to get to an Adelaide game one day. The A-League has its own flavour. It's fantastic. And the quality from where we started back in 2005, the quality is so much better now.
Yeah.
And it's a bit slower paced. Maybe if they change the winter, that'd all change. But, Australian football is beautiful. We know you're here because you love it. So why don't let us know what made you fall in love with Australian football? Who's your team? What's your earliest memory? And tell us
your favourite memories. Because I think when you were talking there, I was just thinking, how could I forget the Wanderers were in the Champions League? That was Like, that is just incredible that I look back at that and think we won the Champions League against the teams we knocked out. But yeah, there's so many memories out there. You know, people think ALeague's crap. I think there is so many great memories from that, like the Champions League. And I remember the Brisbane and Central Coast. Sorry, Caitlin, she's a big Mariners fan here. But that Brisbane Central Coast Grand Final, that extra time, that's just incredible what happened there.
And the other thing too is there's been some great banter moments in the A-League too. You know, everything from Barisha, you know, what's his name? Barbarouses fixing a net, you know, with duct tape. You've got Archie Thompson 2-footing a little girl on the side of a pitch. You've got some fantastic crappy memories. Remember the B-League that they used to have on Fox Sports? The little commentary with two comedians. There's so much fun. We don't
Sam and Ed.
Yeah. We don't take ourselves too seriously here at the A-League. We know that we're not the Premier League, but it's so enjoyable. What are your favourite things from the A-League? We'd love to hear.
Yep.
And so, if you've enjoyed hearing our stories, make sure to like this video, subscribe to find out some more, and get involved in the comments. Tell us what you like. Cool. Catch you later.
See you next time.